Hello, welcome to the Game Den. My name is Moody, and today we'll be looking at Vati Vidya's new impression video. First off, I just want to thank you for letting us use his footage and possibly see what we can divulge from it. I don't have too much to really do. Mostly, anything I'm going to be saying is pretty much speculation. I won't be diving too deep into the part that he goes beyond what he says he shows as his first playthrough because I felt like I too didn't want to get too spoiled myself. But till then, it's plenty of speculation, so let's just dive into it. The opening shot reveals a broken world. The Scardu tree bleeds a golden sap. And before us is a plain, but a plain filled with graves. The plants are gold color, but unlike the Atlas Plateau, the color is tinged with almost what seems like a blood color, or the color of autumn, which is a good sign of withering plants. I wonder if this is alluding to anything particularly.
A purge without grace or honor.
The Wicker Man is really fascinating because based on the Golden Order, everything the Wicker Man stands for is forbidden, very much like Mesmer the Impaler. It seems Marika forbade the giant's fire, but within the shadows of the Erdtree, hidden away, she would use these powers, or maybe something similar to the giant's flame. Maybe Mesmer's flame is something akin to that of the giant flame. It really goes well with the fact that until now, we did not know her son Mesmer existed. Practically embroidered with every forbidden iconography you can imagine. Red fire, snakes, and dragons. Everything she forbade which threatened the Golden Order, she seems to use in the shadows. Just a small thought on the dry leaf art description that I thought was really cool. We get a little taste based on the description of their mindset. They live, I'm trying to say this word right, ascetic lifestyles. A life with no indulgence and strict self-discipline. So, to call one sect dry leaves, to even suggest the beauty of leaves and plants who are no longer bound by the thirst of water. Technically a very fragile state for a leaf to be in, but under the right path, under the right circumstances, may never crack and live a very long life. The other thing that caught my eye were the fly creatures, or the folks they described were stricken with fly sickness. An interesting note that Vati made was on the ailment talisman. Maybe this is implying that there is a curse of some kind based on action or karma. The ailment talisman says, when the weak were infected with the dreaded fly sickness, they perished well before the metamorphosis could take hold. Oddly, those who cared for the infected and made certain that they were given a proper burial were never afflicted themselves. This reminded me of when Morgoth was finally defeated. He seemed to have transformed back into like a small person, but the keynote was that he seemed to have lost all his horns, essentially possibly being cured of the omen curse. The point I'm trying to get at is that the talisman might be implying how curses have a way of working that are not immediately straightforward, but due to certain actions and due to a result of that, like your karma, as in taking care of making sure that there are proper burials for those afflicted will not be afflicted themselves. Speaking of curses, right after that, we get the description of the bone bow, and I think that this perfectly plays with the idea of curses. The description goes, a medium for spirit calling, and a product of the ancient hexing art of the tower imbued arrows with vengeful spirits. How actions can maybe lead to something like fly sickness. I don't have too much to say about the divine beast. Apart from how horrifying and beautiful this thing looks, I cannot wait to fight it. But as its name says, beast, this might have a similar connection to the other beast in Elden Ring. And the beasts I'm referring to are the ones you find in Fallen Azula, Blad, and Malekith. All these beasts were companions and served a duty to a higher being. But to who does the divine beast serve is my biggest question. Now this one might be a really big stretch, but I just had to say this one. And this could be completely off simply because Vati does not show the actual object, but he describes what they call the anvil hammer. And let me tell you what he says. One of the treasures of the ruined forge. It is said that the anvil's shape is inspired by that of an altar, that long ago it was indeed used as such in a rite and ritual. Now, without any images, the first thing that came straight to my mind was Marika's hammer. Now, this is not exactly the best picture of an anvil, but it's definitely an iconic hammer that has a peculiar shape to say the least. But the part that got me so fascinated is that if you actually read the description of America's hammer, this was the note that I was really hanging on, and this could be like so off. Under the description of the hammer, the first sentence says this: stone hammer, made in the lands of the Newman, outside the lands between. And honestly, that's all it took for me to be like, are we tapping into some of that same energy here? Are we talking about the same kind of hammer? Only time will tell, to be fair, but I thought that'd be really cool if we got a little bit more on the lore of this hammer or material. Something that was strong enough to help Marika shatter the Elden Ring. Now, before I get to my last point, I definitely recommend that you go watch Vati's actual video. There's so much information, and he goes even further beyond, which he even acknowledges might be spoiler territory. And don't worry, he'll let you know. But I left his video in the description for you guys to check out. So, the last thing I actually wanted to hold on to is not necessarily the new weapons. You can see all that stuff in his video. But the one thing I just thought was really fascinating, a small detail that I noticed, was these soldiers right here. Pay attention to their movesets. They wield axes. They yell. And when they stomp, they hit you with the rocks. Now, if you had to make a guess, who else can do stuff like that? Lumberjack men. And if that lumberjack man was named Horalu. Now, clearly these men work for Mesmer, as their torches definitely resemble the red fire that he possesses. But simultaneously, look at their armor, it's the same as the ones in the cutscene when they were invading that town. And if you look at his helmet, you can even see what resembles to be the Shadow Erdtree. But the thing I couldn't help but notice, but these might have been the men that fought alongside Horalu back in the day. Well, I guess we'll find out in 2 weeks' time, when we all get to play the game. And we'll be able to deep dive as much as we like, and we're all going to spend time trying to figure out what's happening. But till then, thank you guys for hanging out with me. My name is Moody, and this was the Game Den. I'll catch you next time.